Okay. All right, so I'm handing over to our lecturer. And okay, so before I go, so kindly confirm that you can see the screen, training administration on the screen. Please kindly confirm that you can see the screen by typing 22 in the chat room. Please kindly confirm that you can see the screen by typing 22 in the chat room. Then I will leave you alone. All right, thank you so much. All right, thank you. All right, sir, please over to you, sir. Thank you. All right, thank you.
This about 2 minutes to 12 noon. Good day, participants, and welcome again to this very particular session on training administration. Sorry. My name hasn't changed. Still mentioned Peter Onyenka. I'm your facilitator. No, I'm not going to waste much time on this, but I will only allow us to be engaged in these activities on training administration. Let me take you through the learning objectives so that you get to know what we are and where we are focusing. All right, so at the end of this session, participants will be able to apply the activities in training administration, identify the responsibilities and functions of training coordinator, and plan and organize training programs to achieve organizational goals. Now, I'm going to get us engaged in point number 1. Now, apply the activities in training administration. Now, like we know, training administration has about 3 phases. 3 phases. There are 3 phases of training administration. 3 phases in training administration. One is the briefing. Pre-planning activity. During the activity and after. But before we start, I want to ask us this question. What do we understand by that term, training administration? You can drop your message, the response to this question in the chat room so that we'll understand your knowledge level about this topic, training administration. What do we mean by training administration? All right. Very key, very key, very, very good. Thank you so much. Now, somebody here in the class have said training administration encompasses all the activities, processes involved in organizing mountain training. So that is very key. Thank you so much for that. So what's from your own area there, what the angle, what do you understand by the terminology training administration? Drop in your chat here, okay? Mr. Taiwo says it means the coordination of all the activities that we have in the training. Yes, very, very sound. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Taiwo. Okay, I'm looking forward to see another message there in the chat room. Okay, yes, so says everything involving training, from preparation, planning, delivery, feedback. Very, very key. Everything involving training from preparation, planning, delivery, and feedback. Now I'm going to draw 20 seconds. 20 seconds where we are. Training needs assessment from training needs assessment. Setting training objectives. Designing training programs. Implementing. And evaluation. Now, okay, somebody also said, training administration can be said to be project management. Wow. So training is a project. So have you managed that project? Very key. Starts from the first phase to the last phase. Yes, I agree with you that it can be said to be project management. Yes. Project management, because you have a training, so and you have to manage that training. So how do you begin to manage that training? What are those steps needed in ensuring that that project comes to a very good conclusion and the project is delivered? So, and I agree with you. Thank you, Lara or Lomoda. I'm on my voice. Okay. Now I want to show you this. This is a typical training cycle. Okay. Now it says, number one, there you see conduct training needs assessment or analysis. Call it training need assessment or training need assessment. Scene A. Second phase is setting learning objectives. You set the learning objectives. And the third phase is designing training program. Designing training program. And the fourth phase is implementing training. After the implementation, you do what? You move to the fifth stage. You evaluate the training. And at the outcome, at the evaluation stage, whatever be the outcome, if it's positive, then that's the end. Training has been successful. But it is negative, then something is wrong along the system. So you have to go back again to find out whether the need assessment was properly conducted. Perhaps participants have been, or people or employees have been sent for training that they don't even need. You can see a situation whereby an accountant is sent for a training for an ICT program, an ICT personnel. So an accountant was sent for a program, to attend an ICT program, that is so technical, maybe web design, all of this. You now begin to query, how will this person be able to use or utilize this skill learned from this ICT program, particularly on web design? Being an accountant, how can he be able to use this? So these are the mismatch in the system, and these are the things that are very wrong. And then, if that happens, probably the training needs assessment was not properly done. Secondly, some of these things we know that by the issue of I know you factor in Nigeria, somebody, the organ, the HR, or the boss says, because you're a loyal employee, a loyal subordinate, please come and go for this training so that you stay 2 months there abroad. And you spend 2 months there so you can get your per diem and get your extra code and whatever, because of the upcoming festivity. Maybe Christmas is around the corner or Saturday is around the corner. Come and go for this so that you get something for your family. These are the ways training evolves with sabotage. So you see that training is not meant for that person. It is just meant to put something in the pocket of that fellow. Not basically because he needs that training. No, the right person who needs that training is there and nobody will send it. So training needs assessment is very important. And I am aware that you've done this in this class. You now know what training need is, or training needs are. So you can actually conduct training needs of an employee, an individual, or the organization, or a team. Then when you identify the training needs, then you go to step 2, which is setting learning objectives. You set the objectives. What are those issues that will be able to address the needs? Those objectives that will be able to capture the needs of those individuals that need this training. You set the objectives, and you must not deviate from the objective. Then at stage 3, you go for designing training program. In designing training program, then you begin to talk about the proposals. What kind of proposal do you design that will be able to address the needs of the participant, of the individuals that actually need this training? What program will you design? What are the structures of a typical proposal? A typical proposal has the rationale. You talk about the rationale or the justification. Either you call it the rationale or the justification. You have your learning objective. From your learning objective, you have your content. For the content, you have your what? Delivery methodology. For the delivery methodology, you have what? Other things like the target audience. The target audience. For the target audience, then you have the contacts and other things. But foremost in mind that the rationale and the objective are linkable. You must ensure that they are linkable. At the rationale stage, that's when you begin to discuss the gap that exists, the gap, the performance gap that gave rise to that training. That gap that gave rise to that training is what we discussed. So why must the organization buy into that their proposal? Those are the things you mentioned there. You must buy into that your proposal because so gap exists. It's also individual, it's also organization, it's also department. So that's what you state at the rationale. From the rationale, now you now be able to do what? Draw your session objective. It's a workshop objective. For the workshop objective, which are linkable, if you look at it, it must be linkable to the rationale. Then you can then design the content that will be able to address the rationale, the problems you've stated at the rationale. That problem is stated at the rationale will be addressed by the content. And that content is what we deliver today. And all of these things are done during training administration. Now, for the content, you now begin to think of what methodology do you use to deliver this content? Because the training, so the very training depends partly on the methodology utilized in delivering those training programs. So if the methodologies are far away from what it's supposed to be, then training will fail. If you don't use the right methodology, training will fail. For example, if something that has to do with attitudinal or maybe skills. For example, there's something that has to do with communication skills. There's a role play you can enact in a class that will be able to address that challenge. There's a role play that you can bring in the class that will be able to show people that, yes, because of the communication gap with this, it has led to this. You know, when that role play is enacted in the class, everybody will learn and you debrief. By debriefing, you allow participants to contribute, to make contributions based on their observations. And then you give your own as a facilitator, say what you observe in the course of the enacting that role play. And that will be able to address some of the challenges we have as regards to communication gap, whether as an individual or in the organization. So I want to take us back to the learning objectives to say that we will be able to outline the activities in training administration, identify the responsibilities and functions of a training coordinator. Of course, yes, the training coordinator has a responsibility. and then plan and organize training programs to achieve organizational goals. So planning and organize training programs that will achieve organizational goals. How to do what with what? Proposal writing. Getting involved in the activities of what? Training administration. Okay. Now, training brings change. We know that the essence of career training is to do what? Have a change in what? Knowledge, skill, and attitude. KSA, which is very paramount. KSA, knowledge, skill, and attitude. Any training that fails to address this thing, there's no longer training. And that's why training workshop is different from conference. Like the previous question somebody asked here, workshop and conferences, seminars. Although seminars may be able to address some of this, or not all, but training will tend to address all of this. Okay, then the essence of conducting training is to acquire knowledge, skills, and attitudes to increase performance and efficiency. That's the essence of conducting training. To acquire knowledge, skills, and attitudes to increase performance and efficiency. Now, therefore, it is demanded that training should be conducted to add value both to the individual and the organization. If the essence of conducting training is to acquire knowledge, skills, and attitudes, then that training should be done or conducted in a way that it will add value to that individual organization, because what we're looking for is change. This case is about change. Change in what? Knowledge, skill, and attitude. Remember, we mentioned here that training brings change. Yes. And if that must happen, then we must be able to do what? Do this training, conduct this training in a way that to be able to add value to that individual. After all, assuming you are a boss, you are the MD of an organization, and then you send your staff, your employees for training, and they come back from the training. After returning from the training, and yet you don't see the impact of that training on them after some time. Although the impact you may not be able to see it immediately after some time. They don't see that. Then it will look as if the whole money you've expended in sending that individual or those staff for training has been wasted. After all, training is an investment. So you, as a manager, as an MD, you tend to recoup your money when they come back. And where you recoup your money is the value addition in the work process, and the performance should improve. That's what you're looking at. And at the end of the day, if you don't see that, then return on investment, ROI, is equal to what? 0. And I bet you that no manager, no CEO will be happy for that. So if that training should be able to add value to address most of the challenges you will see before sending that individual for that training, then you must conduct that training in the best way so that that value will be added. And I guess tell you that a lot of things, a lot of factors are contributing to the success of a particular training program. A lot of things. One, the choice of your facilitators contribute to the success of the training program. Two, the content itself, right from the proposal stage, I've drawn here the training circle. Now, when you begin to design the training program, that's when you begin to talk about the proposal. When you build a proposal and the content does not align with the rationale and the objective, the problem is that the rationale and then the objective that you've laid down that you must follow, then the content is not will not able to address those challenges, then training will fail. And once it fails, then you have to go back again. And that's what we have again when at the foundation level, you must do this training assessment. Training need assessment. Okay. Now, for training to add value to the organizational process, it must be based on identified needs, handled and coordinated by competent professionals. And this is from Tajumawo in 2009. Tajumawo is a staff of the center, retired. So he mentioned here that one of his books, that for training to add value to the organizational process, it must be based on identified needs. There must be need for that training, not just on the basis of I know you factor. There must be need for it. And that training must be coordinated and handled by a competent professional. A competent professional must handle that training because it adds value. That services the coordinator, brings about adds value too. But I'm going to tell you that it's not about the coordinator. There are a lot of resources that are put together. It's about the success of the training program. I will get to that. In the very shortest minute, I'll bring up to that slide. Then, therefore, the success of any training program is partly dependent on how the training is administered. Yes. How is this training program administered? That tells us a lot about the success of the training program. If it was administered the right way, there will be success. If it goes wrong, then we'll cry. The money is wasted. Now, this means that trainers and coordinators particularly have a great role to play. Trainers and coordinators particularly have great roles to play in ensuring that training programs are administered effectively. So the trainers and coordinators particularly must ensure that the training program succeeds. The trainers and the coordinators matters a lot in training administration. So they are the areas you must, keep improving on. You must do a lot of work in choosing who becomes a facilitator, who becomes a trainer. So the choice of your trainer, on what basis was it made? Is it on the basis of I know you, or that you have the competency to deliver? So you must make it very clear. If you decide to choose a trainer or a facilitator on the basis that I know you, or I want to compensate you, or I want you to get something, or maybe on the basis of it is the cheapest offer, then success will suffer for it. But if your choice of a trainer or a facilitator is basically on competency, ability, then you have success, great success. Now, simply put, training administrators must be committed to the activities of planning and implementing training in a manner that will bring about change. I think, okay, this one. Yes. Oh, it's not asking, okay. Okay, no, I wanted to do the other slide. That's something that was covered the other slide. Okay, I think it's okay. Thank you. In a manner that will bring about the desired change. So we are simply saying that training administrators must be committed to the activities of planning and implementing training in a manner that will bring about desired change. Planning and implementing training in a manner that will bring about desired change. Yes. Now, let's have some few definitions of training before moving straight away. I will not waste much of our time here. Now, according to Abiodun in 1999, she defined training, or as a systematic development of knowledge, skills, and attitudes required by employees to perform adequately on a given task or job. But Edwin B. Filippo, defined training as the act of increasing the knowledge and skills of an employee for doing a particular job. So each particular job requires a training. It requires a different training. Each particular job requires a different skill, because you need to acquire a special skill for each particular job. So what is saying that for each particular activity, each particular skill that is required, you need a training. You need to equip yourself in that particular area so that you'll be able to perform that task effectively. Okay. Now, it involves systematic procedures of transferring technical know-how to employees so as to increase their knowledge and skills for carrying out specific job requirements with proficiency. In other words, the trainees acquire technical knowledge, skills, and problem-solving ability by undergoing training programs. Trainees acquire technical knowledge, skills, and problem-solving abilities by undergoing training programs. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's look at the concept of training briefly. Training develops and prepares one for succession planning. Yes, in the organizational process, there's a place for succession planning. There's a place for succession planning. So they achieve this by training their talents, their young talents, so that they can grow to do what? To take over future vacancies in the organization that will exist as a result of what? Retirement, death, and all that thing. Then training provides knowledge and motivates skills and attitudes. Yes, for the new employees or recruits, training prepares and acquaint them with the right skills needed in their job. For those new, those who are new in the job, they give the kind of training that's called what do they call it? There's induction training to prepare them of what is expected of them, what the organization does, the mission, vision, of the organization, then the public service rules and all of that. If it's from a private sector, I mean, they tell them what the ethics of the company are, what they tend to achieve in future. So those are the kind of industrial training they give to new recruits. Okay. Now, let's take this second question here. The first one has been taken. Now, second question says, mention the human resources that the key players involved during training administration. Can you just drop your answers and responses to the chat room, please? Mention the human resources, the key players involved during training administration. The training unit, okay. All right. Okay, the content developer, okay. This is the last one. Event planner. Somebody saying event planner. The moderator. Okay. 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 Train administrator, okay. So who, yeah, train administrators, right? So who are the three key individuals or personnel or human resources that are needed, to be involved in training administration? In delivering training program, who are the human resources that are majorly needed in delivering training program? That's the question we're asking. Specific. No, what would be the persons that are involved? But very key. Facilitator. The facilitator, yeah. Yes. Oh, can we hear from them? Oh, okay. I would love to hear them.
Okay, the facilitator say you would like to hear also. If you will want to say yours, please kindly kindly raise your hand and then you'll be unmuted. Or you just unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself and then make a comment. Okay. The human resource or resources as the key players involved during training administration. You want to make a comment, please raise your hand and they go, yes, trust me. Trust me. Go ahead, please.
You're unmuted.
Yeah.
Okay. The key players involved.
Yes. Yeah.
The human resource personnel or manager is the one that will control.
Okay. Go ahead.
Then the participants, the main people, the audience, need to be psyched. So they are also very important. Then the presenter or the facilitator.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Another one? Any other person? Just mute yourself and go ahead. Any other person? You want to tell us the human resource, the key human resource players that are involved during training administration? Okay. The key human resource, you want? Does anybody want to speak? Okay. The key human resource players that are involved during training administration include the facilitator, very, very key. The facilitator, the coordinator, the support staff, or the support team, we call it. Yes, the support team. The support team will help you take care of the logistics, other logistics. Yes. The coordinator and the support team. The support team work closely with the facilitator to ensure that there is no loophole. Okay, somebody said here, may says players include HR training team. Okay, HR training team, yeah, of course, about the facilitators, faculty, yeah, facilitator faculty, targeted audience, event coordinator, logistic team. I think she's trying to talk about the support team, yeah. Thank you so much, Session. Okay, Mr. Taiwo says the facilitator, the trainer, yeah, very key. Thank you so much. Okay, Mr. Rahim Olagoke says professionals in the particular field of target audience. Okay, I think he's trying to talk about the facilitators. Okay, then Lara says facilitators. Then Trosley says presenter, training facilitator, that's by GTK. Okay, human resource manager, the participant, Trosley. Okay, I welcome all your contributions. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless you. All right. Okay. Now let's look at the meaning of training administration. When training administration refers to the series of activities undertaken by a training coordinator in ensuring that training becomes effective, without which training will not take place or will be ineffective. So those activities that are undertaken by the training coordinator, without taking those activities or without getting involved with those activities, training will not be effective. And when training is not effective, which means that training has failed. Okay. Now it is the process of synergizing resources together or towards the attainment of stated training objectives. So training administration is the process of synergizing resources towards the attainment of stated training objectives. Remember that you have something at the back of your mind that we're going to achieve. So those are their objectives. So what do you want to achieve with this training? You want to launch training. What do you want to achieve at the end of the day? After that training, what will your participants go home with? Those are their objectives. Now, how do you achieve those objectives? So you have to synergize resources together. You have to bring a lot of resources together, both human resources and the material resources, of course. The human resources involve the facilitators, coordinator, and coordinating team. They support the workshop. Then the training bars, training materials, and all those things. Logistics, venue, and all that, the material resources. So everything has to come together. You have to bring everything together, integrate them together, then for you to be able to achieve that stated training objective. Okay. Now, training administration is concerned with effective planning and organization of training to achieve organizational objectives. Okay. It is a series of activities undertaken by the training coordinator to implement a training program before, during, and after a program to ensure its success. Now we are going to focus on before, during, and after activities of a training program. That is the holistic view of training administration. Now, if we want to list those activities that are required, those plans, those activities need to be conducted before the training program, then those activities need to be done or carried out before or during the training program, and those ones that are needed to be done after the training program. So what I will do is to welcome our contributions from the chat room. I don't know how to group us, split us together, so that's actually have a team. But let me hear from them. Oh, they have their groups. Okay. Okay, can they do that activity? Group 1, the activities for before the training program, then group 2 during the training program, and group 3 after the training program. So if they can have it that way, then they come up here and then give us all those lists.
All right, so we have an assignment, group assignment that will be done very briefly. So group 1, your assignment is to, or your discussion is to list all the activities before the training program. And then group 2, yours is during the training program. And then group 3, yours is after the training program. So how many minutes do you have? Okay, so 5 minutes, 5 minutes for return back, and then share what we've gotten.
Please, let's do this. Let every one of us get involved in this. Group 1, take care of the pre-program activity, that is before program activity. List for us all those activities, all those functions you carry out before a training program. Group 2. Okay. So group 1 and 2 online. Group 2, your own activities during program activity. Tell us those activities that goes on while the program is ongoing. Then group 3, you tell us the after program activity, those activities that must be done after the workshop has been completed. So tell us that. Yes. Then we'll come back to summarize. The last point there says the role of a training coordinator is not different from the functions of management. And the functions of management, as we know, includes planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Then explain what is the role. It says the role of a training coordinator is not different from the function of management. Explain. Thank you so much.
All right, please, let's use our WhatsApp groups. Of course, I know we already have our WhatsApp groups. Let's go to WhatsApp group, have the discussion, and then we'll be back.